They said the battlefield was no place for emotions. But when General Hawthorne raised his pistol at her, no one expected what came next. What city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more real stories about extraordinary people. Private Elena Marquez had only been in the unit for 3 months when she first heard the whispers. They called her the Ghost, not because she was quiet, but because of where she came from. No rank, no formal record, no family visits. She had simply shown up one morning at the Army base hospital with a duffel bag and a nurse's uniform neatly folded inside. Her hand-stitched wounds faster than surgeons. Her medical instincts were sharper than most officers. Yet she walked with her head down, avoiding eye contact. Some thought she was hiding. Others thought she was just humble. The truth was far more complicated. Elena wasn't just a medic. She was a decorated combat surgeon who had seen more war zones than the men around her. She had served under a different name, in a different country. And now, she was here by choice, volunteering where no one knew her past. She treated everyone with calm patience, the wounded, the shattered, even the cocky new recruits who thought they were invincible. But she never spoke about herself. The soldiers respected her. The officers tolerated her. But General Hawthorne? He despised her. He was a man who wore his power like armor. Born into a military family, he had risen through the ranks the hard way, or so he claimed. In truth, his connections had pushed him upward more than his courage ever did. So when a nameless, faceless medic began earning quiet admiration from the very men he commanded, he saw it as a threat. It began with small jabs. Stay in your lane, medic. You're not here to think. Just patch them up. You're replaceable. Remember that. Elena endured it silently. She always had. But one morning, after a brutal night raid where half the platoon was injured, Hawthorne finally snapped. She had saved 6 soldiers in a row. Each one carried in bleeding, each with fading breath. She worked like lightning, hands moving faster than her brain could keep up. Performing battlefield surgery with nothing but gauze, pressure, and prayer. When the last soldier stabilized, Hawthorne stormed in, furious. You should have waited. You don't make those decisions. You're not qualified to triage. Elena stood there, gloves dripping with blood that wasn't hers, exhaustion darkening her eyes. She said nothing. Look at me when I talk to you, Hawthorne barked. Slowly, she raised her head. They were dying. I did what needed to be done. You assume you know best, don't you? His voice dropped low. You think saving their lives makes you important? She didn't answer. Who are you really? She stayed silent, and that silence made him burn inside. Over the next days, Hawthorne's attitude grew venomous. He scrutinized her reports, assigned her extra shifts, and began speaking louder whenever she was in the vicinity. But she kept doing her work. And the men? They began guarding her in ways they never expected. One evening, during a patrol in hostile territory, her team was ambushed. She patched a man's artery under gunfire, using her own belt as a tourniquet. When asked how she knew what to do so quickly, she simply said, I've done it before. That night, one of the soldiers, a young private, asked her gently, Why are you here, really? She looked at the sky, stars barely visible through the dust. Because everyone deserves someone fighting for their life. He never forgot those words, yet news of her actions spread. Men began asking for her directly. They trusted her more than some officers. And the general noticed. Happened during a tense border standoff. Rumors of insurgent infiltration had everyone on edge. Orders were unclear. Tension was everywhere. And then the unthinkable happened. During a routine medical drill, a real explosion rocked the forward base. 5 soldiers were hit. Without hesitation, Elena sprinted toward them, no helmet, no cover, sliding to her knees in the dirt. She stopped the bleeding, applied field dressings, and coordinated an emergency extraction. And then Hawthorne arrived on scene. You disobeyed protocol, he said. Flatly, I saved their lives. she whispered. You? Expose yourself to enemy fire. A crowd was forming. Men watched, wide-eyed. They had seen the blast. They had seen her work through chaos. You want to play soldier so badly, Hawthorne said coldly. Then he drew his pistol. Time froze. Sir, someone muttered. This isn't right. She's a medic. Another cried. She's insubordinate, Hawthorne snapped. And in my unit, that gets you discipline. He looked Elena in the eyes. You think you're untouchable, that your miracles make you matter. But you're just a fraud. The first shot rang out. She staggered but didn't fall. The second struck her shoulder. Then the third. She dropped to her knees, blood soaking her uniform. No. A soldier screamed. The fourth hit her ribs. The fifth pierced her abdomen. She fell face first into the dirt, and everything went silent. For 10 seconds, no one moved. The general reholstered his weapon. Medics, retrieve the body, he said coolly, then turned away. But before he took his second step, he heard something dotted was a voice, a slow, shuddering breath. Coated in stubborn fire. I'm not done yet. Hawthorne turned sharply. Elena was pushing herself up, blood dripping down her chin. Her hands slippery and trembling. She stood, raised her head, and beneath the dirt and pain, her eyes were burning with something ancient and unbreakable. You want to know who I am? She rasped. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small metal case. Her dog tags covered in dust. A name was engraved there. Not Elena Marquez. Another one. Major Elena Vadrenko, combat field surgeon. United Nations Special Medical Task Force. The unit gasped. Vadrenko was a legend, rumored to have survived being shot more than once, saving dozens of soldiers under extreme fire. Hawthorne's face paled. You shot a superior officer. Someone said, you attempted to execute a decorated war hero. The men stood up, guns raised, but not at her. At him. Hawthorne was relieved of command. Within the hour, handcuffed, silent. Elena was flown out on a medevac. The men saluted her. She was carried. She barely opened her eyes, but when she did, she smiled. Don't worry. I promised I wouldn't leave anyone behind. She survived. Months later, she returned, transferred into a leadership position she once walked past quietly. No longer a nameless medic. No longer hiding her past. And the soldiers who once questioned her, they now wore her badge of honor on their uniforms. A silver thread stitched into their sleeve, symbolizing the woman who refused to let death decide the final chapter. She taught them medicine. She taught them courage. But most importantly, she taught them that kindness in war is not weakness. It is the last light that keeps humanity alive. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.